Everybody good?
LC when he needs to be able to go when he's not able to get on the field?
Yeah, LC's a veteran, and we've worked together before. I've coached him before, so I think he's a guy that does a great job in the classroom. I've already got him sitting next to Alex in our meetings. They're always constantly talking when we're doing install, watching tape. I want guys to sit next to the guys they play with and they can talk, communicate like they would on the field to try to expedite that process. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge to get it up fast, but I'm confident in him and Alex being veterans and the way they're talking, communicating now, that those guys are going to make that process really fluid, even if it's going to be shorter than normal.
Is there a certain amount of reps you want to see from him in camp?
I want everyone to get 1,000 reps, but unfortunately that's not the case. So I don't know. I'd love to have 1,000,000 reps, but I don't get it, even for everybody. So I don't know how to answer that. As many as possible, and it's never enough for an O-line coach.
Does he need reps in order to start the week?
I mean, it depends, yes and no. He's a veteran. He's played a lot of football, but it's a new system. He needs to get the rust off. He can go out there and play. Vets do it. I mean, he's a guy I can count on and trust to do that. His team should be able to trust to do that. But ideally, you want him to get reps. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, Anthony Munoz is going to come out here. He's going to want to get a few reps before he goes out there and plays. It's just the nature of the sport,
Is he not out here during practice?
It varies. It varies on what they got him doing from a rehab, treatment, or strengthening system, whether he's inside, outside. He was out this morning in a walkthrough. It fluctuates and varies.
How's Jackson done from a retention standpoint, maybe from spring to now, or maybe even from day to day?
He's done great. I was impressed with how he worked all spring on his detail of technique. It's been really exciting to see because he's got a lot of the natural athleticism that you covet in a lineman with someone his size, but it's how to apply the technique with that athleticism together to become an offensive lineman. He's done a great job. He's working hard to continue to get that ascending curve for him on his development.
How much of this?
Oh, last year it's pretty night and day. I mean, you should go ask him. He'd laugh and say, yeah. I mean, it's, he learned a hard lesson last year, so it's good that we're in this year. So we're excited about where he's at.
A lot of the linemen, Frank, obviously are looking forward to next week when they put the pads on.
Sure.
Where is your expectation level, and why is this week leading up to that so important?
Well, guys, right now we're just kind of learning the nuances of what we're trying to teach scheme and technique-wise and all the variety of looks. Our defense gives us a lot of variety of looks. Not only talented, but their scheme's hard. They play a lot of jam fronts. They cheat the shade of a 3 out to a 4-eye on certain looks. So sometimes they'll play man and they fall back, sometimes they don't. We got to make calls and adjustments, so all those little nuances are different. They're usually the exception to the rule as opposed to the everyday norm. So we're trying to teach the everyday norm and then come out here and practice against all the exceptions. So that kind of a little bit of a challenge. So it's maybe nice to get a little bit of a ramp up before you put the pads on. The pads, just like now, it's rust as you're getting used to going against the defense full speed. And then all of a sudden you put the pads on. The first day, it happens every year, they forget to just be under control, have a good base, play with length, and they're a little bit kind of, my coach used to call it buck fever. You just unload your rifle. Oh my God, there's a big deer over there. And then all of a sudden you're all over the place. Okay, settle down. So maybe the second day you start to settle down and get into a groove. Your pads are coming down. So camp's an ebb and flow deal. It is what it is. You're excited one day, then you're livid the next. Like, what the hell's going on? And it's just the nature of the beast. It's more of a trend. I want that trend to continue to do this. I wish it was smooth and like that. It's going to be rocky, but we're going to be trending up. That's really what training camp's all about.
What's Ted on to you?
A guy who's an incredible leader. He loves ball. He asks great questions. That's always bringing up the next adjustment question, kind of a leading question. And he wants to know some of the technique nuances that are new, and he's excited about it. He is a guy that actually enjoys the mundane, the boring, nasty mundane. He gets excited about it. That's why he's going to be a good line coach someday. He's into it, and he's a lot of fun to coach. And it's contagious.
Yeah, how does that impact the young guys?
Yeah, the young guys see, okay, I mean, this guy's played a long time. He's been on championship caliber teams. This is how you do it. So it's good for young guys to see old veteran guys like that and their approach. He's acting like he's still a second or third year guy with mentally he's excited about everything, the newness of it. He still loves ball. He hasn't got that. You can get salty as you get older. I like salty. I kind of feel like I'm salty in a good way. You just don't want to become bitter. There's a difference, right? So he's a guy that can flip the switch and get salty right away, but he loves it. It's a good thing.
What's the difference between salty and bitter?
like having to answer these mundane questions. It just makes me salty, but I enjoy it because I'm a coach in the NFL. Otherwise, I'd be bitter about it. Is that a good analogy?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Do you view it as competition at left guard, or are you looking for Jackson to really run the field?
There's competition everywhere. Okay, I tell guys, I don't care if you're doing drills and individual, you're competing to move up on the depth chart. It doesn't matter if you're with the second or third group. You're competing to show us what you can do to get a chance to move up on the depth chart, especially when there's opportunities when guys go down, right? You guys all heard the Wally Pipp story. Maybe these young players haven't heard that quite yet. We'll talk about it sometime during camp. But you never know when your opportunities are going to arise, and you got to take advantage of it. Like, oh my God, look what this guy's doing. He's gonna stay with it and run with it. So everyone's always competing. Never relax. This league is so competitive. You can be the guy one year, and you're going to get knocked off real quick if you relax. It's just too competitive.
The word I keep hearing from the guys and now from you is communication. How important is that with all the new faces, and how much is it? How much is that like learning a new language?
Yeah, it's. I look at it as football as a language. I look at it in the old line room. It's its own unique language within the team, and what we do is all about communicating. Right? These guys, especially, the longer you play, the longer you coach, you become bilingual in these systems. I can speak Italian. I can speak Spanish. I can speak French. You know, some of these guys maybe speak Russian and some speak Greek. Now they're going to learn to speak Bengalese. So that's what we're all learning right now, and how to communicate. And it's fast. Play fast. We don't want this big dissertation at the line of scrimmage trying to get coordinated. It's all about playing fast and getting comfortable with each other, but understanding our terms to make adjustments so we could take advantage of the defense. When we motion and shift, and they motion, but we're attacking. We're not waiting. We're always putting them on their heels as best we can.
Is there any more of a rush to get LC back, given that obviously what happened with Joe Burrow wasn't planned, and then Alex missing the month that he did, so that you can get a look at your group with Joe under center?
Yeah, I mean, as far as those guys and their time frame coming back, that's better for the medical staff. I mean, as a coach, you want them back yesterday, so it's all about the mental reps right now in meetings and just talking all the time when he's not in. And we're watching, like this morning, walkthrough, questions about this play, the adjustments, what about this when this happens. So as much as you can. Obviously, it's a lot better if you're there experiencing it all up front. But, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we got to get it done and make it happen. So if it's 1 week, it's 1 week. If it's 2 days, it's 2 days. If it's 3 weeks, then it's 3 weeks.
You said these questions were mundane. If you were us, what would you ask you?
All the questions you ask. I don't know how to ask those questions. That's what I do for a living. I just want to coach the O-line.
How is Deontay Smith playing?
You guys ask great questions.
How's Deontay Smith playing?
He's like a typical young guy. He's looking good one moment and has a hiccup the next. I mean, he's still trying to polish it and be more consistent in everything he does from a technique and fundamental standpoint. You know, it's early in camp, so you know I'm never going to get too high or too down. It's just let's go work. Put your head down and keep this. I call it stacking chips. When you go to Vegas, you want to win big. You win a hand, you keep stacking chips. Just put another chip on top every day. Add another chip. Add another chip. If you have a loss, you go down, well then I got to double my bet to get back. So you better come back the next day and bring something special, learn something twice as much to make up for the other day, if that makes any sense.
Ever win big in Vegas?
What's that?
Have you ever won big in Vegas?
Well, define big, you know. I don't want my wife to know how much I am. She's a little scared sometimes. Maybe a couple $100.
Are you surprised we're this far into this and no one's even brought up your first round left tackle? Jonah. I mean, not this year's the first round, but.
What do you mean by bringing him up? I bring him up all the time.
Really? Nobody's even asked about it. It seems like he's just kind of an afterthought, and he's played well. What's the next step?
We want the whole line to be an afterthought. No one's thinking about us. All the action and the superstars are throwing, catching, and running with the ball. So we want to be an afterthought, to be honest with you. That's a good thing. So we got one. Let's get 4 more to go, right? They got all of us to be just afterthoughts.
One thing LC said today was offensive linemen are trained not to take crap from anybody.
Right.
And, you know, I was asking him yesterday about the scrap between Isaiah and Jeff. Do you look at it that the same way?
Well, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, we're not taking crap from anybody. It's just the dog days of camp. It's guys are maybe getting tired of leaning on each other or someone's going maybe a little bit harder than you thought we were supposed to for that tempo of the day. Typical stuff up front in the trenches. And this game, guys are going to challenge you. They're going to challenge you physically. See, are you going to back down? And that's just the nature of the sport. So you better bow up and go get after them just as much. You know, so yeah, absolutely. It's a mindset to play in this league, especially up front with the O-line and D-line.